over sound and stuff before we get on. Hello? 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 Oh, I'm live. I'm sorry. Hey guys, I'm sorry. I did not know I was live. I hope you guys can hear me quite well. Nate, can you hear me? I hope you can hear me good. Today, guys, we're going to be doing our domestic violence awareness episode, guys. We are so excited. We have a special guest here with us today. She's going to be sharing her story. She's going to also be sharing her information. She has a book and she runs an awesome program. Her name is Dawania Brown, but sometimes she likes to go by Miss Foxy Baby. But we are excited to have her on today. I hope everything is okay. I'm sorry, guys. So we are definitely excited. Hey, KD.
Hey, sorry guys, I'm here.
So I'm just telling them that we are excited about our guest today, Miss Dawania Brown, and we are excited to hear her story. We are excited for her to share her story. I cannot wait. I'm looking forward to her and her story. Give me 1 second. So I'm going to read her bio before she comes on. Dawania Brown, also known as Foxy's Baby, is becoming internationally known for her fanatical passion to serve women. She is the founder and creator of the movement Run Me My Crown, as well as runmemycrown.com, where she uses truth and transparency sprinkled with love and comic relief to share her heart-wrenching story of overcoming domestic violence, depression, divorce, and daddy issues. She has dedicated her life's work to educating, encouraging, and empowering women so that they too can triumph over any trial or tragedy. Dawania is now a published author, speaker, and master life coach. But if you ask her, she will tell you her most significant accomplishment is being a mom to her 2 daughters, Tasia and Asia. We're going to welcome Miss Dawania Brown. Hope she's on. I think she's on. She's going to be sharing her story. Oh, here we go. There we go.
How are you?
Hey, girl.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you. Look like we twins with our
lipstick. I had to find my purple lipstick.
Yes.
I had to find my purple lipstick. I hope it look all right, y'all.
It looks fabulous.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet you. How are you?
Well, both of you. Thank you so much.
No problem. How are you?
Listen, I'm showing up and I'm letting God show out, you know.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait to hear your story. We are so happy to have you here today. I promise you, we are definitely waiting to hear from you. So we're gonna go ahead and let you have the floor and let you start.
Listen, I'm grateful, one, to be here. Thank you so much, Crystal, for reaching out.
No problem.
My story, child. I don't know. We got limited time.
Girl, we got time. We got time today.
Absolutely,
we got time.
But to make it plain, the reality is that I was born into domestic violence. When I call myself Foxy's Baby, it's not simply because my mother was Foxy. I used to call her the original Foxy Brown. And of course, she passed away in 2009. But shortly before that, I shortened it to just Foxy. Okay. And then shortly after she passed away in 2009, God allowed me to remember the story that she had told me many times about, the violence that she had to overcome with my father. They were, of course, married for 20 plus years. It was a volatile relationship. They really should have never been together long enough to make me. But
now that's deep.
Right.
Praise the Lord, God allowed them to like each other long enough
to send you our way.
Right.
So, but yeah, and you're right, it is deep because when I think about it, obviously I love both of my parents, but they both had some ish with them. You know what I'm saying? They both had a whole lot of crap and unhealed trauma of their own. And so you put the two together and it was fireworks. And so fast forward, again, remembering the story, beginning to call myself Foxy's baby. And it really wasn't until 2010 when I was assaulted by my then fiance that, in that healing process and the aftermath afterward, that Foxy's baby took on a whole new meaning. I was reminded that, again, this was my plight. Like, this was what I encountered before I was ever even born.
Wow.
It wasn't powerful. Just, it was a one-time thing. It was my entire life. Wow. And literally a generational curse that had to be broken. And the reality is, all too often as survivors, as individuals who have come up against domestic violence, we don't make the decision. And I'm not speaking for everyone. I can only speak for myself. But in actuality, I didn't really make the decision for myself to leave. I made a decision for my children to leave. I realized that if I didn't break this curse, my children were going to relive this. And that's not something that I personally could live with. I wasn't going to be able to, live out the rest of my life in peace and knowing, wait a minute, my child is dealing with this all because I didn't make the choice or make the change. And so for me, that was non-negotiable. But if you look at my past, relationship after relationship, there was some form of domestic violence. And of course, domestic violence isn't always just physical. A lot of times it's verbal, it's mental, it's financial. And so, although I've experienced it in so many different forms, I think one key that's necessary to point out is, again, my parents were in this situation, right? So I was literally born into domestic violence. So I watched them, even though they were together, then they were separated, then they were divorced. And it was a never ending cycle. So I watched them. But then as I got older, at the age of 16, I was being physically assaulted by my brother. We have the same mother and father. We lived in the same household for those 16 years. I'm 16, he's 25. He assaults me. That's also domestic violence.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's not just intimate. I know a lot of times, now it's called intimate partner violence. Well, I like domestic violence better because it covers the entire domestic household.
Yeah.
And so, but that just goes to show you, we came from the same cloth.
Yep.
Right.
So it was more than just, he's assaulting me. He was dealing with the same curse that I was.
Yeah.
Wow.
From what he learned. Absolutely.
And although, what's ironic about it is, of course, him being a boy, obviously he's older than me. So he saw a lot more than even I did. He, even to this day, if you talk to him, he'll tell you how, horrible it was and how he really, I don't want to say hate, but he probably hated my father. And the reality, though, is he kept saying that he didn't want to repeat that cycle, that he would never. But then guess what he did? Yes, he did. So again, it's a never ending cycle unless you call a thing, call it out for what it is. Number one, face it and decide that you're going to make a change. And, it's a healing process. It definitely doesn't happen overnight. For me, this has been a lifelong process, but intentionally since 2010, I've been healing from, all of the turmoil and trauma that has, happened in my life, from anything from, like I said, molestation to, domestic violence, to the daddy issues, even the mommy issues. Let's keep it real.
Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real.
there was a lot.
Yeah.
But like I said, listen, God is good. I'm here.
Absolutely.
I'm able. Look, I got all my teeth.
Yeah, they pretty by the way.
Yes.
I use them often.
They are pretty by the way.
Yes.
I'm just grateful, to be able to share my story and in hopes that because God saved my life, that I can help save somebody else's.
Absolutely.
If it's just simply a word, if it's a hug, if it's one of my silly videos, I love to dance. I'm always dancing. If anybody follows me on social media, they know I get my or just being funny. I mean, I do come from a household of, well, really not even just a household, like a long line of comedians. I probably should have been a stand-up comedian, but
you still got time. You still got time.
You never know. But no, I mean, I just think that, especially having gone through this journey, it's necessary to find something that allows you, just to be lifted, to have a positive outlook. It's not over, unfortunately, so many women, and again, there are men, of course, who deal with domestic violence as well. But because I am a woman and I have a ministry and a heart for women, I often refer to us women. But the reality is there's so many women who didn't make it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so because I know that, and I realize that I could have been one, I take every moment that I can to, to spread some cheer, to laugh, to enjoy life, because it's not promised. It's not promised. And so I'm just grateful that God chose to save me, and now I get to help him save others. So here we are.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And,
so go ahead, Katie.
I just wanted to ask really quickly, what are some of the obstacles that you went through that made you to decide, to what point did you feel like you wanted to just say, I'm done? I understand you said it was with your kids, but for how long? And what were some of the obstacles that caused you to stay and keep thinking about, I'm going to leave, no, I'm going to stay, I'm going to leave, I'm going to stay?
Well, for me, it's funny when I get this question because each time I think of something different. Because again, it's complex. It's not always just one simple thing. For me, there was fear. There was also excuses. When I think back to the particular situation that I often refer to back in 2010, again, I had lost my mom in 2009.
Okay.
So I was already in a very vulnerable state. And, my mom and I, although, we went through a lot of, tumultuous times over the years, but the last few years of my mother's life, we had really grown close. We were like best friends. She had even talked about, if you find me a house in Maryland, I'm moving to Maryland. And like, I was excited about this, but my mother passed away unexpectedly. And, it was devastating. And of course, this gentleman and I, we had been together when my mom passed away. We had been together for a little over a year at that time. When she passed away, we were actually cohabitating. First mistake.
Okay, first mistake.
But it is what it is. We were cohabitating. My mom passed in May. In July of 2009, he asked me to marry him, but what was crazy about even that situation was that he asked me to marry him after an encounter of domestic violence.
Wow.
That was his way of, at least in my mind, again, I don't know what he was thinking. I can only speculate, but he asked, we had, gotten into it. I was going to leave the house because at the time, that's how I would deal with, the issues. I would either leave, I would shut down, I would go in the room, close the door, like I would just check out. Didn't want to, face it at all. And in this particular situation, I actually slept in my car the night before. And because, again, I knew something had to give, but I wasn't prepared. I didn't know how to bust a move. I didn't understand, one, that I needed healing. I didn't understand that childhood trauma was still affecting me. I didn't understand that the fact that I was even connected to this gentleman who had already proven that he wasn't it, but I kept wanting to make it work. I kept believing that if I loved him just a little bit more, perhaps, he would see the change and he would just, want to love me better.
Yeah.
But the reality is that doesn't work. You just find yourself in more turmoil.
Right.
But yeah, so he asked me to marry him July 1st of 2009. And it's weird how I remember these dates specifically like this. But I've been like this all my life with numbers and dates. But he asked me to marry him that day. Of course, I'm all gung-ho. I'm excited because, although I had been married before, no one had ever presented me on a knee with a ring. And it was like, oh my gosh,
So he went all out.
Right.
So and this was the crazy part, is that 99% of the time he was the absolute loving, genuine, beautiful person.
You hear that a lot.
I mean, this man, we would go on to purchase a home together. We went on to plan our wedding. Like it was 99% of the time, it was amazing. But it was that 1% that would overshadow the 99. So that 1% where he wouldn't get his way or something just didn't go right, and he would lash almost like a child,
Yeah.
Anita's behind broke, as my mother used to
say.
Right. He would lash out, and because I was the closest thing to him, I was the receptive, the receiver of that hurt, that violence, whatever. And it didn't always start off with a hit or a punch or choking. It started off with words.
Oh,
that started to break you down, don't it?
He broke you down.
It started off with the words, and then even the violence didn't start off with hitting me. It was hitting other things. It would be hitting the wall.
Yeah.
It would be throwing things and breaking things, destroying things that meant something to me.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
So especially as my mom passed, I had 2 plants that she had given me. I remember him literally destroying those plants.
Oh, hell.
Something I can never, ever get back. So, that began to weigh on me. And, again, in the aftermath of my mom's passing, it was like, I don't even know what to do. I don't really even have anybody to talk to. I remember reaching out to his mother, begging her to help.
They don't care sometimes.
And what did his mom say?
Wow, this woman got up in the court of law and lied for this man.
No, she did not.
I mean, that's how it is most of the time.
And it's unfortunate because I see it all too often. Yeah. And at this moment, it's a plea to these Black mothers, and I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm Black.
Say it.
Most of the people around me are Black, and when it comes to Black women and their sons,
them no good things.
You got to hold them accountable.
That's my point right there. It's nothing wrong with you loving your son. I'm not telling you to throw him to the side. Yeah. You can still love your son and tell him, no, this is not right. This is not okay. We are not going to stand for this. But instead, she enabled him. And you know what's crazy is, in my healing process, I released her of that. I even forgave her.
You got to.
Because I realized, in essence, I don't know what she may have dealt with in her past. What would have caused her to not be able to see me, one woman to another, even though that's your son, but one woman to another? Come on now.
At the end of the day,
she was in denial.
Felt like she was his protector.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
She was in denial.
And, it always brings me back to the story I quickly shared earlier of my brother assaulting me physically when I was 16. I remember being in the house, the house that we grew up in. And when this was happening, we were upstairs. My mother was downstairs. She was at the bottom of the stairs looking up at us as we tussling. Now, for years, I resented my mother because I was just like, I don't care who it is. I don't care what the situation is. Ain't nobody gonna put their hands on my child.
Right.
It ain't happening. Right. But in that moment, I remember, again, I'm trying to block and, just trying to figure out what's going on. 2, when is it gonna be over? 3,
right.
I just want out of here. That's really was my mentality at the time.
Did you
But I
ever?
remember, at the corner of my eyes, I'm, tussling and tossing. I see my mother at the bottom of the stairs, and she just standing there.
Wow, she didn't do
Say
anything to
word.
intervene.
Try to break
She
y'all
didn't
up?
yell, she didn't say stop, nothing. Just standing there. And for years, I promise you, I was like, ain't no way.
No way.
Ain't no way. But it was when I began to uncover the healing process. And again, at the time, I was only doing it for my children. I didn't even realize how it was going to affect not just me, but the people around me.
Absolutely.
And, future relationships and, my children's children that have yet to be born, right?
Absolutely.
But in that moment, I realized she was still dealing with the trauma herself. She couldn't help me.
She couldn't help you.
Even as much as she may have loved me, as much as she may have even loved her son. But guess what? That was the moment for me because I was like, Black mamas and they sons.
Right.
What about me?
Right.
Say that.
The victim.
Right.
Say that. Black mamas and they daggone sons.
Y'all need to stop protecting them.
I remember that night, I had the blood in the white part of my eyes, my face, was clearly I had been assaulted. And I was in 11th grade, so I had to go to school the next day. And I remember saying to my mom, well, what am I supposed to tell the people at school? Mind you, I went to a predominantly white institution, private institution. So I already stuck out like a sore thumb. I had all this big hair. I'm black. I'm not really hood, but I'm from the hood.
Right.
So like, I can't just slide in like nothing happened. So I asked her, I'm like, what am I supposed to tell them? And she told me, tell them the dog did it. Now, wait, give me 1 second because I just found a picture of my dog. Ironically enough, I just found a picture. I'm going to hold it up. Hopefully, y'all can see it. Let's see. It's a little. Can y'all see how small she is?
Yeah.
That was my first puppy, Gooch. Gucci was her name. I got that dog when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And she told me, tell them the dog did it.
Wow.
Now you see how, come on, look at that face again.
Right.
You think she would have ever? Absolutely not. But I went to school the next day. And I think that goes to prove, though, that my mother wasn't necessarily, in a healed state. Because my mother was a teacher for 36 years. So as a teacher, number one, as a parent, as, an active part of the community, you want me to go to school so they can see what happened? If that makes sense. So it's kind of like, was she really thinking? I don't think she was.
Right.
But I go to school and I remember wearing my sunglasses. And, I was kind of like a cool kid, if you will, But I stayed in my book. Stop playing, y'all.
Right. You can be cute and smart.
I was definitely such.
Absolutely can be cute and smart.
Okay. But nonetheless, crazy enough, I had on my sunglasses and I never forget. Shout out to one of my good friends, Chantel. She actually lives here in Maryland as well now. But we have been friends since 2nd grade. And of course, by this time we're in 11th grade. And she met me at my locker and she asked me, she was straight. And this is why I love sisterhood so much. She looked at me and she said, what's up with the sunglasses?
That's deep.
I mean, came straight forward. And when I didn't say anything, because I wasn't sure what to say. I knew I couldn't lie to her because, again, this is a good friend. She gonna know you lying. Plus, I was always a proponent of the truth. My mother used to call me Honest Abe, and she made it sound like it was such a bad thing, because I was always truthful.
Right.
And to this day, I'm all about truth and transparency. So long story short, I didn't say anything. So when I didn't respond, she just took the glasses off my face slowly. And of course, when she saw my face, she saw, the aftermath. She literally didn't say a word. She just took me by the hand and she led me to the guidance counselor.
Oh.
And it was in that moment At 16 years old, that sisterhood became everything for me.
Wow.
Now, mind you, at that time, from the time I was, second grade on up, I had been in all girls schools for what my mom, I guess, thought was, supposed to keep me from dealing with the boys. Epic fail. But nonetheless, I didn't realize, again, back at 16 years old, how sisterhood would play such an integral part in my healing, and so, but she took me to the guidance counselor. Of course, Child Protective Services got involved. And even that, I felt like they failed me as the minor in the situation. Oh, okay. I remember I guess it was a social worker or, whoever they send out to the house to investigate. I remember them coming out to the house and they had the nerve to sit there and tell me, well, your mom's a teacher. So if we charge her, she's going to lose her job.
No.
And I'm like, again, as a 16-year-old, I'm trying to process all of this. First of all, I just got my behind broke, by my brother. My brother is someone who I've always looked up to. We're almost 10 years apart. I've always looked up to him. I've always honored him and just loved him. I always thought he was like the best thing. And the fact that our father was absent from the home, he was like a father figure. He was that voice of reason. He was, the one to tell me, nah, you don't want to do that, whatever. Well, needless to say, at 16, I remember I'm sitting on the floor in the living room and my mom and the social worker, they're sitting on the couch. And I'm like, I don't even know what to say. Like, I don't want to go into the foster care system, of course. Right. So, and he's telling me, the person who came out says to me, well, you only have one more year left before you can be emancipated. You're going off to college or whatever anyway. So you just deal with it for another year. Well, of course, in my mind, I was going to just deal with it for another year because although I knew it hurt, although I knew it wasn't right, I was used to it.
Wow.
It was normal for me. Right. And so that speaks to, so many of our victims who stick and stay. Right. Because there's a fear of the unknown. I know who you are and I know what you're capable of. But if I leave, what's out there for me?
What's out there?
What am I going to face on the other side? It might be worse.
Right. Right.
And for some women, it's like, oh, I have kids. Who's gonna want to be a father to my kids?
Right. Who's gonna take care of me? And again, it's not always just about the attachment. People talk about, oh, you're attached. It's not even all about that all the time. So many times it's about just the unknown.
Right.
If you even think about anything that you've ever done in life, there is a nervous reaction. It's normal.
Absolutely.
You're afraid of stepping out on something new. So if I've been dealing with domestic violence in some form or fashion since birth, at 16, I'm a vet at this point.
I got years in this. I got 16 years in.
I got seniority.
So if I'm like, oh, all I got to do is hang in there one more year.
Right.
And they told my brother, told my mother that he had to go. Okay. He had to be removed from the premises. But do you think he ever left?
I was
no, of course not. Of course not. Mama wasn't putting her son out.
And that's why I talk again about Black women and their sons. When were you going to hold him accountable? And so,
absolutely.
Especially, I'm already dealing with the hurt and anguish of being physically assaulted by the person, like, this is my dog. I love this man with everything in me, right? I'm 16, he's 25. Clearly, he's got more strength. He's a whole man. Like he's a whole man.
So he can go at this point.
Should have been gone, but
you gotta think.
My mama never enforced it. She never made him leave. In fact, let me see. He didn't move out of the house. This would have happened in 1993. Yes, 1993. He didn't leave the house until 2001.
What? What?
2001.
Almost 10 years later.
Yep.
8 years. 8 years.
And did the situation get worse or like?
It didn't get worse, but it was a lot of tension. And if I can be, 100% honest,
go ahead.
I was 16 when it happened. I graduated at 17 because again, I only had, about a year left. I graduated at 17. I was pregnant by 18. I was out of the house.
Wow.
So it wasn't him that moved. I moved.
You had to move.
And then I moved back, and then I moved again. Then I
I get it.
But, that's what happened. And so, crazy enough though, is with that pregnancy, praise God, that child will actually be 26 in 13 days. I'm still tripping because I'm
wait a minute.
I don't care what nobody knows.
Right.
You heard me, girl.
She said 21. You heard what she said. Don't play with her.
I'm gonna go with it because at this point I don't know.
It's that new math.
It's that good black. It's that good black. That good black don't crack. That good black don't crack, honey.
Listen, God is good. God is good.
Absolutely.
But I actually will be 45 come February.
Wow.
And so
that's that good black, honey. That good black don't crack.
Right.
That's that good black.
But yeah, and I'm grateful for that. I do have good genes, but one of the things I often give it up to is God. God did that.
Right.
He did all of that because guess what? I could have succumbed to so many different issues. I could have succumbed to drugs and alcohol and sex and you name it. It could have been a thing.
It could have been way worse.
The fact that, even as I share my story, understanding all that I've gone through, alcohol or drugs probably should have been a thing.
Right.
It should have been an escape from the hurt and the pain and the anguish. But the reality, and I mean, don't get me wrong, we all, we took our turn with different stuff. But the reality is that I never found myself having to overcome an addiction in that regard, which I'm grateful for because
that's a blessing.
That was part of my father's story. I often would wonder where he was and when he was coming home and, what he chose over me. And I was able to have that heart-to-heart conversation with him before he passed. He actually passed away about 3 years or going on 4 years now.
Wow.
And I remember asking him, what drug was it? What did you choose over me? And I remember the look in his eyes and you could tell he was just heartbroken. He didn't even understand how the domestic violence and how, him not being there and all these different daddy issues, if you will, how they had affected me and how I was repeating the cycle that he essentially started.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember asking him that we had went to dinner one night and it was a memorable moment. But I remember him saying it was heroin. And needless to say, it destroyed all of those thoughts of daddy's little girl that I used to, believe that I was, he was coming for me. Even at the time when my brother was assaulting me, I still had this fantasy that my daddy was going to come and save me somehow, some way.
I really like the fact that you said, that you confronted him. And a lot of people that go through, the same story that you have, they blame, or it bothers them or like it really like changes them and they keep that anger. They're not able to let it go. So I really like that you're able
a lot of people haven't healed. A lot of
Right.
people haven't healed and they don't know the steps to take to heal.
Right.
And that's the thing. And I tell you, when I say therapy,
right,
honey, you have got to sit on somebody's couch.
Somebody,
right? It was non-conventional. In fact, I just had he's like a brother to me at this point, because he actually married my good girlfriend, who is like my sister. So they family for real now. But at the time, the gentleman who was counseling me, I call him Rev. He was actually on my show, Run Me My Crown radio show, just this past Tuesday.
Cool.
So listen, when I tell you the tears that ensued as we went traveling back in time to 2010, when I was completely broken, when I say a state of depression, I didn't get out of the bed for anything, really. I would literally get out the bed just to take my daughter to school and get right back in the bed. I did nothing. I didn't shower, trifling. I didn't do anything. Like when I say the bare minimum, and I didn't realize at the time though that, that I had sunk so deep into that depression. Because again, this was right after, the situation I shared where I was 4 months away from my wedding with this gentleman. At that point, we had a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath house. To the world outside, it looked like we had the perfect relationship. Nobody except those closest to us knew. And even some of the people that were close to me didn't know. Like my best friend didn't know. My sister didn't know. Again, I reached out to people like his mother, some of his friends. His friends trash.
I can believe it.
Trash.
Because I really believe, if we had more men who said, and again, you can still be his friend.
Mm-hmm.
If you snatch him up and let him know.
Hold him accountable.
Right.
Hold him accountable.
At the end of the day, you want to put your hands on her. Well, come on, square up with me.
Right.
Let's see where we go.
Right.
But you would never do that because again, it's cowardice.
Right.
You would never. I promise you, he would never.
Never.
He would never square up with another man.
Never.
Right. And that's usually the situation.
Sad but true.
So how is your relationship now with your brother?
Unfortunately, it's non-existent right now. Now, I will say, it's not because of the domestic violence. I forgave him. Of course, again, that was part of my healing process. I even made an attempt years ago to let him know, to have that conversation, kind of like I did with my father, being able to have that conversation and saying, listen, the story's going to be told because mama called me Honest Abe. I'm going to tell the story.
I'm going to tell the story.
But I wanted to give him the opportunity to know, again, it's not coming from a place of, revenge or, anger I'm healed. I'm whole. I'm telling the story so that somebody else will know, 1, they're not alone. 2, they can get through. And 3, domestic violence isn't just intimate partner violence. It affects your children. It affects your children. The fact that my parents went through it affected me and my brother. And that's what we got. Ironically enough, if you go back, my grandmother, which was my father's mother, was the aggressor in their relationship.
Wow.
So I often imagine, because what's crazy is I even shared this story recently too. My grandfather died when I was 6 years old. And when I tell you, I have a heart for that man, even to this day, in 6 years, he made such an impact that at 44, I'm still bringing to pass things that we talked about. And I love this man with everything. He was so gentle, so kind. Mind you, he lived in Houston, Texas. I lived in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So it wasn't like we saw each other all the time. But when we did, baby, he was my heart. And when he passed away when I was 6, it was like, well, what now? Like he was my most favorite person in the whole world.
Right.
And so you fast forward, when my father passed away in 2018, it was my uncle, his brother, who shared with me, pulled the pieces together. And he said to me, it was my mother who used to beat my father.
Wow.
Well, what was so crazy about this was, as I'm going through my healing process and as I'm now launching the movement, Run Me My Crown and runmemycrown.com, right?
I like that.
I'm confused because I'm like, I cannot imagine my granddaddy putting his hands on nobody. And I'm so like, this just don't make sense. Like, God, what am I missing? How could I think that, like he could do this? Because again, I assumed because he was the man, he had to be the aggressor. Well, needless to say, when my grandfather said this, when my uncle said this about, my grandmother and grandfather's situation, I was like, it all makes sense now.
It makes sense.
And what was crazy is for years, I couldn't stand my grandmother and couldn't figure out why. For years, she would just rub me the wrong way. And I just chalked it up to, you know what? It's just another one of them situations with Black women and their sons. Because she was definitely one of those who took up for him, he can do no wrong, all that kind of good stuff. No, sis, no. But I chalked it up to that being the reason why, I didn't really care for her. I mean, I loved her. She's my grandmother. My middle name, Geneva, is after her. But even that, I didn't even want to accept the name for so many. Listen, nobody even knew my middle name because that's how disproportionate and detached I was about it. But when my uncle shared that, I was like, OMG. Now it makes sense. And so, of course, by that time, my grandmother had gone on to glory. She had been dead, almost 15 years by that time. But, it was just like, okay, now it makes sense why, the things were happening the way it was, why she constantly rubbed me the wrong way.
Right.
Just never really cared for her, sadly. But yeah.
A question I had is like going back to your brother. Do you know if he is now an abuser? Do you know if he continues
that? I don't believe he is, but I don't have 100%. Oh, and so going back to your initial question as well, you asked me about our relationship. We don't have a relationship, and unfortunately, that's because of who he chose to unite with.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
I love them. I love them all. I miss my nieces tremendously.
Oh, that sucks.
And I think, that's the part that hurts the most about us not having a relationship is that, I don't get to actively play a part in their lives, and they're no longer playing an active part in my children's lives. And but that's the choice they made. I did everything that I could do. And I'm one that will tell you in a heartbeat, I don't care if it's your mama, your daddy, your brother, your sister, whoever. If it's toxic, it gotta go.
It gotta go.
It gotta go.
Gotta go.
Toxicity will kill you.
It will kill you.
Just like you wouldn't drink milk after the expiration date, you gotta let these relationships go if they're expired. And yes, family are included.
Family is included.
You can't stick around and stay.
I need y'all to understand that.
Grandma just gonna be grandma. No, grandma should be.
Grandma should know. I don't care how old you are. That do not give you the right to disrespect me, grandma or not. I don't care if you 600, grandma. You get what I'm saying? That don't give you the right to disrespect me. I always say, in order to get respect, you have to give respect. I say that all the time.
Absolutely.
You're not going to disrespect me because you grandma and you 900. No, ma'am. We're not going to do that.
Wait, she done went from 6 to 900.
I just want her to know, grandma, you're not going to play with me like that. You're not going to play with me. No.
I love it. But you're right. The reality is, especially as the older generation, you should be teaching the younger ones.
You should be teaching.
Yes, there is a level of respect that I command from my children, but I teach them. I show them what love looks like. And again, that was the beauty of healing, right? So when I healed, everyone attached to me began to heal.
The Artist Exchange said that thought process scares me. He said, because when we teach our children how to resolve issues. A lot of people don't teach their children how to.
At all. A lot of people don't know how to. Especially in the Black community. Because
Sheena said, yes, ma'am, grandma better put some respect on it. She better put some respect on my name. Because grandma, you will get this. You will get this.
But this is all of this. So when we talk about how to resolve issues and communication, listen, I grew up in the traditional Black household where you don't speak unless spoken to. You
Right.
don't talk about nothing that goes on in this house.
In this house.
Right. Outside this house.
Listen, you do it because I say do it. Don't
You
ask
do it because
me
I
why.
said do it.
So then now I'm dealing with whatever. I don't even know how to communicate that.
I don't know how to communicate.
You never gave me the option.
You never gave me the chance.
Nope.
The reality, I mean, even something as simple as saying, I don't like Brussels sprouts. Now, granted, I love all green vegetables. I don't know why.
we get the analogy.
But you know, as a kid, I'm sure I hated them. So if I say I don't like Brussels sprouts, at least
don't tell me I gotta eat
voice my feelings
or not eat it.
Validate my feelings.
Right. That was
I still need to eat them.
Right.
But at least give me an opportunity to lift my voice and share how I feel.
Be heard.
That was never a thing in my household. And because of that, I grew up to be a woman who couldn't find her voice when something wasn't right. When this man was throwing my things across the room, breaking vases that my grandmother bought, tearing up my plants that my mother had gifted me, I didn't know how to say, one, that's not right. I don't like it. Stop. I didn't know how to do any of that.
And Dara said the way the old school resolved issues were by not dealing with them, the issues covering the trauma up with silence. That is true.
Silence. And that guess what happens when
we swept a lot of things under the rug because we didn't want nobody in the outside to know.
It doesn't disappear.
It doesn't disappear. It's just out of sight, out of mind. But the thing is, the issue is still there. The issue is still there. And if you don't take,
you know, like KD said, it compounds. It just continues to pile up. You may think, oh, because it's put away, it's tucked away.
Yeah.
And the reality is, you know, I had tucked away some things myself that didn't realize they were subconsciously affecting me as a grown woman.
Affecting me. I say this a lot.
In that healing process, I came across the fact that I was molested at 7 by a woman. So for a long time, I thought that I was gay. I was moving in a way that was perverse. I was doing all types of things with whoever, wherever, and it was trifling. But I didn't understand that this was because of that situation that I had tucked away. When I say it happened at 7, but it because I didn't confront. I mean, at 7, I didn't know nothing about healing.
I didn't know nothing.
Come on. So at 25, and 30. I'm now dealing with these different things and I don't understand why. It wasn't until I was 33 in that counseling with my brother, as I mentioned. Well, he's like a brother. I mean, he not blood, but I call him
we
blood.
get it. Blood don't make you family, honey.
Right.
Listen.
So Sheena said, I even still work through childhood trauma. I know we all do. Even today, we all do.
Even though I'm healed today, I'm still a work in progress.
I'm still a work in progress.
I'm still continuing to uncover because, you know, again, it's a lifelong process. It is a process. And so it means if you just got to move this much today, that's okay.
I told my son this the other day. I said to him, I think it was last night, you just got to start. Doesn't matter how you start, where you start. You just have to start. Start somewhere.
So
start somewhere. It's not about how you start. It's about how you finish.
I think some people get that start confused because they think it has to be big. They think it has to be something big, like straight off the bat. It doesn't. I mean, it builds the same way it builds up. And people will start to notice when you starting and when you doing what you're supposed to do and when you move in the right way.
Right.
Yeah. And you got to go at your own pace. You have to move, you know, you can't run nobody else's race.
Yeah.
You gotta be here. Blinders.
Right.
Blinders.
You gotta be focused on you. And the beauty of that is that's okay.
It is.
That is okay.
I always
and for me, you know, starting was, remember I told you I was in counseling. Right. And because of the relationship with my sister and, you know, the Rev, he would come to my house every Tuesday and Thursday. And for me, starting was falling out the bed just to answer the door. Because again, I was in a state of depression. One, I had the mentality that counseling didn't work because I had been there, done that. But the reality was the counseling that I had been exposed to was in the aftermath, after my brother assaulted me, my mother thought I needed to go to counseling because there was something wrong with me.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I believe counseling don't work. What I'm going to counseling for what? This is a waste of time, a waste of money.
Right.
But I showed up to the door because again, he made it easy for me. He came to my house every Tuesday and Thursday. And mind you, for those who live in Maryland, you'll understand the difference. He lives in PG County, I mean, like deep into PG County. He would drive from PG County all the way to Glen Burnie, which is in Anne Arundel County, twice a week for free. All because God told him to.
Tashina says, and work at your own pace.
Yes.
And work at your own pace.
Yep, that's exactly what we said too. You got to work at your own pace. So again, my pace was, let me at least answer this door. And not so much for him. I was doing it because I didn't want my sister to be mad. Like this is now, they apparently, at this point have realized they were going to be married and all this. So I'm like, I don't want her to be mad at me. Let me just answer this door. I know counseling don't work, but let me just answer the door anyway.
Right. And Tashina says, find your inner peace with it all. And with the grace of God, he has been getting me through every roadblock and or shaking foundations.
Yes.
Amen.
That's right. I like that, Sheena. I like that. I like
that. So in love. And I'm telling you, once you find that peace, you ain't giving it up for nobody. Once you find that peace, you ain't
giving it up for nobody.
Nobody. Listen.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we got any men out there, but yes, I'm very single. I put my plug out there. I'm single.
Right.
Listen, you know how to hit her. You love the church. But anywho.
Yes. You gotta let it out there. Y'all heard her. Share this. Share this, honey.
Right.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I was working at my own pace. I simply would fall out of the bed on those Tuesdays and Thursdays, answer the door. And he even shared this past, like I said, he was on my show just this past Tuesday. And he shared that he realized that I was unconventional. I was different. And that I had to stick a pin in it right there. I started to cry as he shared that because I've always known I was different. But I was always told that was such a bad thing, right? Like I was the black sheep of the family. I was the one who caused all the, the trouble, if you will. But when he said that, he said, I knew you were different. I had to move differently. I couldn't come textbook counseling with you. And so he did. He came out of left field, if you will. And crazy enough is I remember the moment that I had uncovered the molestation that I had tucked away for so many years, how that came to the surface in this counseling session, in, getting that therapy, getting that help, wanting to be healed. And that's the key is that you got to want to be healed.
Tamika says, not having these conversations can be so detrimental to a healthy future.
Definitely detrimental.
That is true. It could definitely be detrimental. Absolutely. Yeah. Because then he will become a man or a woman who doesn't know how to communicate.
Absolutely.
That is the biggest thing. You will have a man who don't know how to communicate and express his feelings.
Absolutely.
And you will have a woman as well who will allow the man to treat her any kind of way or say whatever he wants to say, and she can't voice her opinion because she doesn't know how to. She doesn't know what to say. She doesn't know how to express it.
Now that I found my voice, child,
I ain't losing it.
Losing it for nothing and no one.
And no one. I'm sorry. Call me what you want, but I'm not going to allow you to mishandle me. No one.
Right. No. But also, you just got to find a way to talk to people. It goes back to that abuse.
There's a level of respect and honor that we really should be given to anyone. I mean, point in case, case in point. I met Crystal through somebody else, right? Through Peaches, in fact. And when you called, I could have been like, child, who is this?
Right.
But that's just not who I am, and maybe that's I don't know the word I'm looking for, but the bottom line is I've never been that type of person. Now, granted, you get a little disrespectful, I will snatch collars. Don't get it twisted.
I will snatch you.
I'm saying
to oblivion.
Well, see
I
these
will
But
snatch
fans.
you to
seriously though,
oblivion, honey.
just recognizing like, your words are powerful. Like God brought the entire universe into play with just words.
With just words.
Mm-hmm.
With
And so
just
when I
words.
began understanding that, I watched how I talk to myself. I watched how I talk to my children.
Absolutely.
I even remember my mother would always say, "You just like your daddy." And I would
Mm.
think to myself, like, sis, you picked him.
Ooh!
You had it. You went that way.
Like, I didn't pick him, you picked him.
I ain't pick him. Not
Right.
me. You chose it
Right.
for me, not me.
Who my daddy was.
So
Now
how you
you
feel
got a
now?
porn of my daddy. You got, literally this little girl who looks, when I say I got his entire face, face, hair, everything, personality, the fact that I can walk into any room, make friends, like that is all him. But crazy enough, I would hear her say how, no good he was, how, he was a drug addict, he wasn't ish, he'll never be ish. But then you tell me I'm just like him.
You tell me I'm just like him.
So in my mind, that means I'm going to be all of these things, right? I'm never going to be ish because he's not, and I'm just like him. Ooh. So, I began as I got older, and again, going through that healing process, I began, even before healing, to be honest with you, even before intentionally healing, I knew how it made me feel. And because I knew how it made me feel, I never wanted my children to feel that way. And so for me, even though I wasn't necessarily prepared with the tools just yet, I knew I never wanted my children to feel, some type of way in that. I wanted the relationship between me and my children to be what I always longed for with my mother. Now, granted, I got that within the last 3 years of her life, but I wanted, longevity. I wanted that to be all the time for me and my kids. And so granted, I began treating them differently. I began talking to them differently. I began uplifting them. And all the things that I wished my mother would have done with me are the things that I began doing with my children. So I took that hostile and crazy, tumultuous situation, and I decided I don't want to repeat this. I want this.
Yeah.
Melanie 7883 said, "You're not going to mishandle me." Powerful words. Take back your control and comfort.
Right.
She said, effective communication. We have to find that in a way, and it's different as people are different. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, we have
Absolutely.
to. We're gonna take a little short break, guys. We're definitely gonna come back with Miss Foxy Baby and her story, and we're gonna learn more about her Run Be My Crown organization. You guys, please stay tuned in, and always remember, if you would like to be if you like to be a sponsor or advertise your business, please feel free to DM us, to send us an email at PodcastIAmShe@gmail.com. Always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Please, it takes nothing to like, share, and subscribe. Whatever you're running, whatever you're doing, whatever your business is, even if you offer some services, please be sure to DM us for that exposure. We would love the support. But we'll be back after this short commercial break, guys. Hey guys, we're back. Thank you for tuning in. We have our very, very, very special guest, Miss Dawania Brown, aka Foxy Baby. We just want to share with you guys a couple events that we have coming up. This next Saturday, we have the Community Bazaar sponsored by Rita's Catering. We will be doing that. We will be there doing a live broadcast from 11 to 1, and then we're going to be there a little bit later. We're going to stay till about like maybe 3 or 4-ish. We're going to be interviewing some of the vendors that are there. We're going to be interviewing some people from the city as well. We would love for you guys to come out. The address, I believe, is 1638. What is it? 1638 West Pratt Street, I believe. We also have the Art Tea event coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow's the 24th. Yeah. Okay, tomorrow, which will be a tea tasting and an art showing as well. That will be at 1734 Maryland Avenue, where we will have Love for Moms will be there. Our producer Nate, who we absolutely adore, he will definitely be in the building with his jewelry line, Vesha Blue Jewelry. We also have an herbalist, Joanne Wiley. She will be there with her teas, different variety of teas as well. Tamika at the Style Lounge will also be there. So we would definitely be in the building doing some coverage from there. doing a little tea tasting, you know, and
Yes,
it's
I
dark.
love tea. I
Yeah, girl, she got some good tea. She got some good tea. So I'm definitely excited about that tomorrow. Then
love.
November the 7th, guys, we also will be broadcasting from an event. It's a networking event. The networking event will be held by Love for Moms as well. Love for Moms, Tamika at the Style Lounge, and also Nate at Vashai Blue Jewelry. So I.Am.She Podcast will be there as well, doing some broadcasting from there. All of these events, of course, are free. They are free. So
No
we would love for at the networking event, we're looking for vendors or exhibitors, as Nate called them. We're going to look for exhibitors who are looking to get their business name out there, to network with some of our other Black-owned businesses. Some of them are women. Whatever you may offer. If you have a child entrepreneur who is looking to get their name out there. I met a young man last night who is doing snow removal. He's only like 13 years old. He's in the Park Heights area, and he's going to get him some business cards together, and he's going to, you know, get him some snow removal. He said this summer he did a lot of lawn work. He mowed yards and did a lot of landscaping. He's only 13, so
wow,
he's definitely
young entrepreneur.
So, yeah, if you have any kids who own a business, if you know anyone who may own a business and would love the network, the networking event will be November the 7th, I believe, at 12.
November the 7th at 12. 1734 Maryland Avenue.
1734 Maryland Avenue. As always, 1734 Maryland Avenue. So we will definitely be in the building for that. We're going to get back into our show because it was so good before we left. It was getting delicious. So we definitely want to hear more from Miss Foxy Baby about your Run Me My Crown. How did you get that started? What is Run Me My Crown?
Listen, let me tell y'all. So 4 years ago, a friend of mine, LaQuisha Hall, she is an amazing conference. I can't talk. Coach in the area. She's, you know, domestic violence and sexual assault advocate. And I had heard through the grapevine that she was, you know, doing this anthology. You know, she was looking for people to input. And so, you know, I heard about it kind of last minute. And so I texted her and I said, well, you know, next time, let me know, you know, because I know it's too late for me to join in right now, but next time, next time. Well, needless to say, she texted me back and was like, you want in on this? Or I was like, wait, for real? And so needless to say, she said there's only one catch. And the catch was that I had to get my chapter in by the end of the week. This was like on a Monday.
Okay.
So I had a week or so to write my chapter. And shout out to all of the queens who wrote Repositioned Crowns. It is a book that is on my website on runmemycrown.com as well, as Amazon. And there are 15 of us who shared our stories. And so here I am. This is my first time really putting into pen and paper, if you will, me sharing my story of overcoming domestic violence. And so I remember I'm typing, I'm going in, I'm just letting it flow, whatever comes to mind, all of, you know, the issues, all of the struggles, the triumphs, the trials, all of it. And so as I'm typing, I remember hearing Run Me My Crown. And I'm like, whatever. I hear it again, Run Me My Crown. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I hear it a third time and I'm like, okay, now what is this? So I just wrote it down because it didn't make sense. I'm like, what? So I wrote it down and I kept on going about my business, kept typing. And then later on, God confirmed that was very much him. That was indeed the name of the brand. That was the name of the title of my chapter in that book, Reposition Crowns. It's, you know, but it's not just a cute little saying. It is indeed a movement. Okay. It's no matter what you're going through. Now, of course, for me, yes, it was as serious as domestic violence. and the depression and the daddy issues and the divorce. But it's as simple as when the enemy tries to tell you that you're not enough, you snatch that fool by the throat and you tell him, run me my crown.
Run me my crown.
when even sometimes, because sometimes it's us. Sometimes it's us that have to be reminded, who we are, right? And so when I start feeling like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'll never be able to do this or that, or, if I start trying to compare myself to another queen, no, boo, run me my crown. Because my crown is different from your crown, right? And my crown is different from your crown.
Absolutely.
I like that.
But it's mine. And so, I'm never too far from my crown now. Hold up. Never too far.
Keep that crown.
Because the reality is life will happen. So, you're going to be topsy-turvy sometimes. There's going to be a lot of things that's going to look to knock you off your square. So your crown might tilt, but baby, don't let it fall.
Don't let it
fall. I like
don't
that.
let it fall.
I like that.
Don't let it fall. You always remember who you are and whose you are. And that's the most important thing, is that no matter what we go through, I don't care if you got 20 cents in your bank account, you are royalty.
You are royalty.
And you are deserving. You are worthy. And one of the things I like to share, and I especially want to make the point today, is because all too often, especially as Black women, we're taught or groomed, if you will, to believe that our worth is only based on what we can do for somebody.
Right.
No.
Say that.
No, I came into the world worthy.
Absolutely.
I came into this universe, big and bold as I am. I came here prepared and worthy. It's not about what I can do for you. Now, granted, there's going to be a whole lot of, connecting, and obviously people are being used by God to create different things and to fulfill purposes, etc. But the reality is, before I was anything else, I was worthy.
That's deep.
Know your worth. Know your worth.
And I think that's what's so crucial, especially when it comes to talking about overcoming anything. So again, run me my crown is how we tell hell to shut the beep up.
That's how you shut hell up.
So when you start talking this foolishness about you ain't, you won't, you can't, shut up.
Right.
Run me my crown. That. And I'm just reminded of, who I am and who God created me to be. And I'm authentically that person at all times.
I love
whether
it.
I'm online, whether I'm at the grocery store, you find me anywhere in the area, I'm gonna be the same person. We gonna laugh, we gonna joke, we gonna have a good time. I'm gonna hug you. Even with COVID, listen, I got to sneak in a couple of hugs. I'm just a hugger. But yeah,
let's air hug.
That's what. Yes. But that's really what Run Me My Crown is all about. So it started, again, as God just sharing that, dropping it in my spirit, and me saying, what in the world? And then ultimately, a little over 4 years. In fact, this month made 4 years that I launched runmemycrown.com. And so, just to see where we've come in 4 years, being able to lift my voice, share my story. I have just, last year I became a master life coach. So something that I've been doing all my life. Woo. I finally got certified, and I can listen. If I can get through all these things, trust me, I can help you get through all these things.
Absolutely.
We love it. We love it. We love
it. So that is something that I'll be adding to my website here very shortly.
Okay.
So I have several unofficial, if you will, clients, but I haven't launched fully, but I will be launching before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So my coaching and consulting services will be ready and willing. It's really, it's really been a passion of mine for quite some time. Even when I didn't realize it as a young child, I was always trying to help people become better.
Now, do you have an age limit on, your coaching and the services that you offer? As you said, you started off, dealing with abuse at a very young age? Is there an age limit?
Well, for this type of coaching, it would definitely be adult. So it would be at least 18 and older. However, I'm glad you said that because I actually plan to launch a nonprofit as well that would actually be able to help the younger generation. Because, like you said, that's where it really starts. The same way we are groomed for negative things.
Yeah.
It's time we start grooming our young ladies for the positive. Start, enforcing who they are, enforcing that they know, that they can lift their voice if something isn't right. Don't be ashamed to say no. Don't be ashamed to, to tell somebody what's happening.
Absolutely.
And so that is something that I plan to do. All right, God, okay, you just gonna put me out there like that. That's how he do. He like, yeah, you've been putting it off a little too long.
Right,
now. I gotta bring somebody who don't even know you.
Mm-hmm. I know.
You on the shoulder and let you know I ain't forgot. So
right.
I appreciate that.
Right. Angela said we have to teach our kids to love themselves so that they know their worth and will not put up with abuse. That is right. That is right.
Absolutely. And that is one of the reasons why I do want to launch that nonprofit. And so, being able to get to them at a very young age so that they are understanding of who they are, understanding how beautiful they are. It doesn't matter, what you look like. You're beautiful.
You're beautiful.
Period. Inside and out.
Absolutely. You got to install that strength in them.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. We are definitely looking forward to that life coach. I definitely need to get back into counseling and therapy myself because I'm finding myself dealing with issues that I thought I had long gone dealt with, but they're still coming back up. So I definitely am interested in that. And we would love to hear more about it. And we will definitely be posting for you, when you get your life coaching thing back, going. We would definitely love to support.
I truly appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No problem. KD, do you want to share a story or anything you want to share?
Yeah, so I want to just go back a little bit to when you were talking about, how abuse, how it affects everyone around you and not just necessarily, the person, that's being abused. I recently, 3 years ago, lost my brother, not my youngest brother, but my middle youngest brother, due to domestic violence in a situation that he had nothing to do with. The child of his first mother, she was dealing with a domestic relationship. And of course, she would call out on my brother to be her rescuer. She would call him to say, hey, I can't stay here. Can we just come stay at your house? Sort of like a shelter for her. And because, my brother was, just that kind hearted, he was always like, okay, yeah, y'all can come over, y'all can stay. Because at the end of the day, my son is still involved. My son is with you, so my son is still involved. And eventually, the abuse from that relationship, it started to involve my nephew, to the point where, my brother, had to get involved, but he even stood as a man, to that man. And he just told him, like, listen, just don't involve my son in whatever y'all got going on. We're not together anymore, but just don't involve my son. And many men won't do that. Many men will just come after you and they be ready to fight and they be ready to take you down. But he came as a man respectfully, and that's all he said to this young man was just don't involve my son. Be mindful of my son because he's still around and he still has to deal with the situation and whatever that you guys are involved in and whatever you guys are going through. And fast forward a couple a year or so, they had gotten to a really bad dispute. His first baby mother and her second baby father, they got into a really bad domestic dispute where she again called out on my brother, to come to her rescue, but only this time, the guy was ready. He was ready. They had sent him a text and they got into it. He somehow got her phone out of her hand, during a dispute, and she basically just threw in his face like, yeah, my first baby father is better than you, and you just mad because he got this and he got his own house and he got that, and just throwing that in his face. And a lot of people don't realize that really starts to mess with a man's livelihood. That really starts to
ego.
affect them
Yeah.
exactly in an emotional way. And she didn't know that, but that really, I guess that was just his trigger, because he somehow got her phone. He texted my brother as if he were her and told my brother that his son was in danger or he needed to be rushed to the hospital to come right away. That was the last time that anybody talked to my brother. When my brother ran out for that call that had nothing to do with him, that domestic violence call that had nothing to do with him, the guy came from around the alley and walked up to my brother and blew his brains out
Jesus.
in front of his son. His son was sitting in the window because he heard his father put up on a motorcycle, blew his brains out. And not only did he blow his brains out, he's dead. His other brother came down the street, stood over top of him, and shot my brother 3 more times to make sure that he's absolutely executed. So it is really important that people really realize that it doesn't, in a domestic violence relationship, it does not just involve you. It trickles down to the people around you. It affects the people around you. And people just really need to be mindful about that when they, are in those situations, and when they feel like they can't get out of those situations. You have help. Find help. Talk to somebody. You have to be mindful.
Mm-hmm. When you also have to know, like, it's time to go.
Absolutely.
Like you said, she herself need help. I don't, I harbor, how I feel about her. So we're not going to go into that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying she herself need help because you haven't dealt with the issue yet, because you're going to go into your next relationship thinking that it's okay for a man to hit you. That man, unfortunately, that did hit you, he's no longer out in the open. He's no longer free, so you can't deal with that situation with him. So you're going to go to your next relationship thinking it's okay for this man to hit me. And if this man ain't hitting me, he don't love me,
Absolutely.
And I really wish that for her, specifically for her, she gets help. I really wish that she get help. As much as I harbor anger towards her, I really want her to get help, get some type of help, because you're going to bring that on again. You're going to bring that on again, and who knows what could happen this time. Luckily it wasn't your life. It was a life. It just wasn't your life. That was taken. Right. Hopefully, when she go forward into her new relationships, that she realized that this is not okay.
And I'm so sorry that ever happened. That's just heartbreaking, And I actually have a friend who passed away in a similar situation. He passed away. It's been about 6 years now. And I think that's one of the reasons why, even to this day, I'm all about truth and transparency.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times, because people aren't truthful, you don't really know what you're dealing with.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And I think at the core of every situation that I've ever experienced with domestic violence, there was a mental health issue. Whether it was someone, diagnosed or undiagnosed, there's got to be something mentally off that would allow a person to say, I'm going to text pretending to be this woman,
someone else,
so I can get this man here and kill him. Right. Like there's got to be a misnomer, a disconnect somewhere.
Absolutely.
Anyone would ever do something like that. And so, like you said, the young lady, she definitely needs to be on somebody's couch. We all do, it's whether it's everything's going good or whether you're dealing with a trial, you need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
And so, and it breaks my heart that she was in some way, in her own way, if you will. Again, I don't know this young lady, but I can only imagine, having been through, all of these different trials. It's easy to, to point a finger and say, oh, she's wrong or he's wrong, or whoever. The reality is we all play a part.
We all play a part.
And I think every time she was calling out, for your brother, she really wanted help. But perhaps she didn't know that the help had to go beyond just making the call and then I'm going back to hang out with him.
Right.
And even in what your brother shared, do what y'all do, but keep it away from my son. That'll never happen.
It'll never happen.
That baby is going to always be in the mix. So even if the baby's not there, but they fighting, it's now going to affect the baby because that's his mom.
It does.
You know what I mean? So it's so many pieces to the puzzle there. It's just heartbreaking all the way around. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
But that's the reality though of, the seriousness. I think a lot of times individuals don't really understand how serious domestic violence
they don't
really
understand.
is. And I'm guilty. I was in it and didn't understand how serious it was until God allowed me to see a vision of my funeral.
That's deep.
And I'll never forget it. It was this beautiful, beautiful mahogany casket. And, I'm actually a member of Set the Captives Free Outreach Center here in Baltimore. And I remember this casket. Now, mind you, when I saw it, I didn't know it was mine. I just saw this beautiful casket. And I see the casket being wheeled down the middle aisle of my church. And as it gets to the front, they open the casket and there I lay.
My Lord. And that was your final straw.
That was when it clicked for me that if I didn't make the choice to make the change, that was going to be my reality. That my children were going to have to bury their mother.
Wow.
Yeah.
And at that time, my children were, my youngest daughter would have been 9. My oldest daughter would have been about 14, going on 15. And it was in that moment that I realized something's got to change.
Yeah.
Something has got to change. It's not worth having a man just to say you got a man.
Just to say you got a man.
Absolutely.
That part.
Absolutely.
And the challenging part is, again, I didn't know what love looked like.
Yeah.
I never saw that in action. I never saw, healthy love, building up like that. That wasn't a part of my life.
Yeah.
So here I am, grown, just trying to find my way. But because there were so many unresolved issues in me, I was attracting that type of person. And so that's why, I always say, if nothing else, just get on somebody's couch.
Get on somebody's couch.
Open up.
You have got to listen. You have got to reach out for help. And that's the thing, though, is about anything really, but especially since we're talking about domestic violence, the only way for you to get help is for you to reach for it.
Yeah.
Nobody can save you. You have to participate in your own rescue.
You have to be aware that you're in that situation.
Yeah.
I can talk a person until I'm blue in the face about why you got to go, this, that, and the other. But until they make the choice to move their feet, unfortunately, it's not anything anybody else can do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The Arctic Exchange said, blaming and pointing fingers despite being justified is the biggest cause of our destruction. We have to make space for each other, make space for our struggles and our trauma. There's always a deeper reason.
Always.
Absolutely.
Always. And I think that's, God created me to be this compassionate person. And I used to hate that I would always cry so much. Like when I
like that.
I don't like that on TV. Don't know these people. They're not even real. Why are you crying like
not even real, Crystal? Get yourself together. I'll be like, no, but what does she have to do?
And I mean, snotting and crying everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But God created me to be that compassionate person so that when something, you share a story like that, it's easy to say, oh, it's his fault or her fault, or they should have did this and they should have did that. Until you have lived that life, it's like you don't even understand. There's so many components.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so many different pieces to that puzzle. And the reality is, as a community, it's not just, oh, the women need this and the men need that. As a community, as a whole, we all have to become whole. And until we do, it's going to perpetuate more violence.
Yes.
You see, I don't even watch the news because it's
I
just,
I
cry at the drop of a dime. I can't. But the reality is, if you turn the news on, you hear about constant violence. There's a reason for that.
There's a reason.
And do you feel like now still, like you talked about in your childhood, how they came out and they pretty much the police officers came out and it pretty much was like, okay, kind of give your mother a pass. Do you still, when you work with other victims and women that are going through it, do you still hear those stories that they're being treated and told those things by officials?
Sadly enough unfortunately there's always the humanity factor, right? So and then so there's the humanity factor and then there's the system. So the reality is, we already know systems are in place for us that are not conducive to our well-being, to our health, our healing. They might say that that's the case, but the reality is it's not. And you can see that across the board. Anything from the justice system. I mean, we could be here for a couple of days on all the different systems, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think about the show, what's it, Black AF. I don't curse no more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I used to cuss like a sailor, but
you want me to say it?
But in that show, right? So the dad always talks about how everything stems from slavery. Like, the way white people view us today, oh, it's because of slavery, or the violence, oh, it's because of slavery. And sadly enough, is if you really start to uncover, a lot of it is. A lot of it really is. And so, again, it's systemic. It's been happening for generations and generations and generations.
Yeah.
And so the same way in my family, it was the domestic violence, right? It was that generational thing just kept happening until I said it ran in my family, until it ran into me.
And until it ran into me.
Absolutely.
But the same thing is happening in our communities. All too often, there's no one saying it stops here. I'm going to learn how to talk to my brother instead of shooting my brother. I'm going to learn how to, to lift up my sister instead of feeling like I'm in competition with my sister.
Absolutely.
So that for me is where it has to change. There has to be a point in time where someone says enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
And so for me and in my family and in my, local community, I'm that person. I'm the one that said, I'll be damned if I'm gonna be competing with her. How can we collaborate? Listen, because one of my mentors always said, a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle.
I like that.
A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle.
Bright, I'm looking cute. I'm shining. Let's shine together. Let's do this thing together.
Man,
so that's my mentality anymore. Everything that I do, I'm like, listen, how can we do it together? And in fact, I remember an old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And so I think about that a lot in almost everything that I do. because I really want to go far as I can go until, it's time for me to close my eyes and then someone else can take the torch. But how far can we go together? We need one another. My strengths can benefit where, you might be weak, and vice versa. Where I'm weak, you may be strong. And so because we're together now, we tightly, you think about your hand, it might not be all that, but you ball that fist up together, it's mighty.
Right.
And so that's my point of view. That's how I look at it in anything that I do. When you say, can you be on my podcast? I'm like, child,
I sure did. I called her, hey, how you doing?
And in fact, I remember when you called me that day, child, I felt like I was seen. Because I was in Dunkin' Donuts parking lot eating something I ain't had no business.
Convicted. Look at you. Convicted. Look at you. How the hell she know to call me? Can you see me?
But yes, but like I said, I'm just proof that one, God is real.
All right.
And two, that if you want healing, it is available to you.
It is available to you.
He absolutely promises to be, he is the healer. Okay. I call him Jehovah Rapha. He is the healer.
The healer.
And so I'm just proof that it works. I'm proof that it works. But you got to put forth that effort. You got to reach out your hand for the help. If indeed you are in a situation where you absolutely need to get out right now, get out. You can call, and I don't know the number offhand. I probably should know this by heart. But yeah, let me look at that real fast, y'all, because I feel like we definitely need to put that out there. But there's a national domestic violence hotline, and it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's 1-800-799-SAFE or 7233. So 1-800-799-7233. They even have a website where you can chat live. You can text by texting START to 88788. But again, if indeed you are in danger, you got to be careful. You got to be careful, because the reality is, you constantly looking over your shoulder. So if you have to make sure you delete that text thread, you have to delete that browsing history, whatever you got to do, but there is help available. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Question. Do you know the significance of the purple? I know the purple is still that they can be silent, but where did that come from? Why did they choose that color?
That's a good question. I don't know that I know why the color was chosen. There's so many different colors for different things. Like, for instance, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month as well. So and that's pink. It's actually also Infant and Child Loss, Awareness Month as well. So, individuals that have had miscarriages or stillborn, or, children who have passed away. That's also a thing. That's pink and blue. So I don't know that I know the, the actual derivative of how they chose the color, but in my mind, it all makes sense because purple means royalty. And for me, again, and run me my crown, it's a reminder of who you are. And you were born royalty.
Okay.
There's nothing you got to do. You ain't got to shuck and jive for your crown.
That's right.
You ain't got to, you ain't got to drop it low. You ain't got to have no mega knees. Listen, you don't have to do any of that.
You be the authentic you. You were born to be.
That's it.
Right.
That's it, and that's all.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
So to me, that's the reason why they chose purple, because they wanted to remind you who you are, the royalty that you are. And so I've been rocking my purple lipstick all month.
I know. I noticed it, girl. I be seeing it. When you posted, I said, yes. She keeps her purple lipstick on, and I absolutely positively love it. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Shout out to your Instagram, your social media pages, your website, and everything.
Listen, if you pull up runmemycrown.com, you will find it all. But indeed, if you are on Facebook, we're Run Me My Crown. On Instagram, you can follow my personal page, which is Foxy's Baby, which is actually on the screen. But I also have a page for Run Me My Crown, which I will be consolidating. I'm still trying to figure out how to best do that, but I need to consolidate them because the reality is that they really are one and the same.
Yep.
I'm even on TikTok, y'all.
You better have that.
Listen, my kids be like, child, if you don't get off of there. But yes, I do plan to get that link. In fact, that's actually on my list of things to do today so that I can literally have all of those options available. But yes, so I'm on TikTok.
Tree link. What's Tree Link?
It basically allows you to link several different links. So like they'll be able to go to that page and they can click and say for Instagram or my website you can do different stuff. So so yeah, that's actually on my list of things to do. Of course, I also have a podcast on Tuesday nights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Run Me My Crown Radio. And so, you can find all of that. If you just type in Run Me My Crown, trust me, you'll find us somewheres.
Nice. We thank you. Am I saying your name right, Dawania?
Yes.
Okay, because listen, I'm like, I hope that's right. I don't like messing up people's names.
Right. And Lord knows people mess it up for real. They'll call me anything but Dawania. And I used to not care. But then I was like, you wouldn't mess up Oprah name.
You wouldn't mess up Oprah name. You better get mine right. Well, Dawania, we thank you for your sharing your story. Please be sure to follow her on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Okay,
TikTok, baby.
And also please remember to visit her website. Happens. Yeah, remember to visit her website at runmemycrown.com, guys. We are thankful for her coming on, sharing her story, and giving us some good healthy tips. Dawania, we love you and we thank you, Miss Foxy.
You're welcome. I love you back. Listen, I'm gonna see y'all at one of these events. I especially need to be at the one with the tea, because child, the way I go through tea in here,
it's tomorrow. Come on out. It's tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Well, then guess what? I will be there tomorrow to give you a hug for real in real life.
I can't wait to see you. I can't wait. It's at 2 tomorrow at 2 p.m. I will be sure to send you the flyer as well as with all the information on it. Okay.
Thank you so much. I love y'all. Y'all have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome.
We have really had a good show today, guys. We are really thankful for Miss Dawania coming on and sharing her story. We are definitely happy about, moving forward and getting that help out to you guys. We will definitely be posting those domestic violence links as well on our Facebook and Instagram page. So please be sure to look out for that. I think you had some things you wanted to share too, Katie.
Yeah, real quick, I wanted to I actually found a couple of other links referencing domestic violence. They actually have a domestic violence safe house for I actually found one for Jews, like the Jewish community. It's called China, Chana. And it's just, for people within the Jewish community that are dealing with like domestic violence. Everybody is also familiar with the House of Ruth. That actually have a 24-hour hotline too. That number is 410-889-7884. It's just a couple of it. I mean, there's so many resources out there. You can even go through the health department, to find resources if you don't know where to start. Pretty much, which is where I got most of my information, from. For anybody that's just looking for help out there, I mean, please, like she said, absolutely, you want to reach out. You want to talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
And another thing is going back to how she was saying, like, how Mr. Warner was talking about sisterhood. I really like that. That really sat in my soul, because a lot of people, a lot of females that are going through this domestic violence and, things like that, You sitting on the couch with your homegirl. You hanging out in the club with these same homegirls. How can you feel
Yeah.
that sit on the couch and have conversations with them and gossip with them, but you're not reaching out to them, so that they can help you? If you feel that same comfortability to be able to sit and chat with them and go out and hang out and drink and stuff, you should
Yeah.
have that same comfortability to be able to have that conversation with them. Because like she said, nobody knows what's going on in your household.
Yeah.
Nobody reads your mind. And especially if, like she said, she put on glasses. If you hide it, nobody knows these things.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's pretty much what, another thing I really wanted to get into really quick was what Mr. Warner was saying was about domestic violence as far as males. It doesn't necessarily trickle down to females. Just, there is that percentage of males that go through domestic violence. And what I read is as far as like males dealing with domestic violence, it could be just talking in an abusive manner to your partner or your significant other or your husband. It doesn't necessarily mean you physically putting your hands on that person. It's just you talking down to that person and you just making them feel, just you making them feel insecure and self-conscious about their self. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're in a relationship with somebody that's obese and you're constantly, making jokes about their weight and their food and things like that. That's a part, that's a
That's
part of,
domestic violence. Yeah.
yeah, that emotional, that's an emotional part of domestic violence. So be mindful. I know that, when we talk about domestic violence, we automatically go into and think about females and domestic violence. But
Yeah.
men, there is absolutely help out there for you too when it comes to domestic violence. And realize the same thing as with women. Realize when you need to go, when you need to leave, when the situation is too toxic. Because
Yeah.
you still got to think about, if y'all have kids, them kids are involved and you might not think so. They might be upstairs with the door closed playing their game with the earphones in, but I promise you, them kids know what's going on. And
They
she
know.
went, and Mr. Warner went, one way with dealing with domestic violence in her childhood, but her brother went the other way where he ended up becoming the abuser. So you really want to think about that when you continue to stay in these relationships.
Yeah.
You want to think about all the branches that it reaches out to. It's not just you. Even if you hide it from your child, or you're going in your room and you're crying alone to make sure your kids don't see you, or you're running out of the house because you want to take a breather to make sure, it some kind of way affects them. So please be mindful, and please, guys, get the help that you need when it comes to those domestic relationships. And I'm gonna be honest, and excuse my French, I'm a fucking nigga up. That's my go-to. But that goes back to me and Black Rose saying, we got anger issues. We need help. But just reach out. You never know what resources you can get and what resources you can find. You are not alone. You have options. And I really just want y'all to really think about that. And I hope that it touches somebody out there. And if any of the information you guys missed, please feel free to DM us and talk to us. You can DM me and say, girl, here's the situation. What y'all say to do again? I will help you out. I promise I
Yeah.
will.
We definitely will want you to get out of the situation because, like KD said, it don't have to necessarily just affect you. And at the end of the day, when KD shared her story, it don't have to just be you that they may end up hurting. It could be someone you love. It could be anybody. So even if you have a friend, that you talk to, don't keep talking to me about him beating your tail and you keep going back. And then I come up one day to help you and he do something to me. You know, you just have to be careful about that as well, because if you're gonna get out, get out.
Right.
But don't call me because you want somebody to hear you crying that he whipped your ass again. Get out. Get out. Because if he keep doing it, if he did it before, he gonna keep doing it. He gonna keep doing it as long as you come back. A person will only allow you can only allow a person to do but so much, and they will do what you allow them to do as well. They will keep doing it. If you allow that, they will keep doing it. So be mindful, ladies and men. Absolutely. And men, like you said, it doesn't just affect women, it affects men as well. So please be mindful of the people that you are around, the people that you're sharing your story with. If you feel like there's no one, you need help, there's several programs that can help you. You know, you don't have to be bound financially. You don't have to be bound because you have kids. You don't have to be bound because this is your home and you don't have nowhere else to go. You're going to have to start over. And a lot of people are fearful of that start over point. A lot of women don't want to start over.
You got to start over.
A lot of people don't want to start over. So you definitely have to be mindful of that. Angie said, tell them don't forget the grit.
But the grit ball.
That's right, Angie. We're going to play grit ball with that fool in a minute.
Right.
Don't forget the grits, honey. We're going to do it. She said you can do grit ball. That's right. Go in there and get him like what Al Green's wife did to him. Boiled up some hot ass grease and splash it on him. Yeah. You go ahead. And I think Farrah Fawcett dealt with that when in a movie called The Burning Bed, I believe. That's what it was called. The Burning Bed, when she went in there and burnt that man up in that damn bed.
Yeah.
He was tearing her ass up.
Don't do it, because we don't want you to come back and try to say KD and BlackRoses.
Yeah, because don't say I said do anything. I said just watch the movie. You know, you gotta, you know, even if you are fearful of him, ladies, figure out a way to get out. You have to figure it out, because if it's not for you, if they don't hurt you, they're gonna hurt somebody. They're gonna hurt somebody. And don't be afraid to tell your story. A lot of I talked to a lady a week ago, and she was telling me about one of her male friends who was dealing with domestic violence. The girl got real violent towards him and was hitting on him, but he wouldn't hit her back. And she was like, he's scared to tell his story. I said, well, you know, she said like he told his homeboys, you know, what his homeboys did, they laughed at him. Like, how she beating on you? You got to remember, guys, look at who you talking to. Look at who you're, because, you know, look past the, oh, that's my homeboy, his girlfriend beating on him, ha ha ha. No, it's serious. It is serious. Because if it was the other way around and he was beating on her, somebody would definitely tell her to get away. You know, so you got to also be mindful when your male friends come to you, not to make fun of them, make them feel comfortable and give them the right sound advice, you know. But just we definitely enjoyed this episode. I definitely loved every minute of it, you guys. I really appreciate it. We thank you for being our loyal, faithful watchers, our subscribers, those who like our page and share our page and our live. We're thankful. Once again, don't forget, we'll be at a few events coming up. Tomorrow we have the Art Tea from starting at 2 p.m. at 1734 Maryland Avenue. We will be there doing some live broadcasting, interviewing some of the vendors there as well.
And then we have the Community Bazaar.
Yeah.
October the 30th.
That's what we'll be doing our live broadcast at next Saturday. So we won't have a guest and we won't have a theme, but we will be there interviewing.
Yeah. And that address is 1635 West Pratt Street.
I don't know why I was saying 38.
And she's still looking for supporters, anybody that can, you know, bring out donations.
Yeah.
Can get in contact with Miss Rita, 443-882-3292. If you want to just, you know, do business networking, you have small businesses that you want to advertise while you're out there, become a vendor.
Yeah. Don't forget the art, what is it? The network event, November the 7th. That's at 12. And that's also at 1734 Maryland Avenue, where it will be for businesses who wants to, let me get this correct, that Nate said, who wants to polish and build their business. So we definitely would love to see you there. If you want to promote and polish her business. We will definitely be there to help you guys and do a live broadcast. If you any type of business that you own or may have, please feel free to reach out to us. We can definitely get you connected with the events and things. Remember, all the events are free, so you don't have to worry about that. I ain't got no money. Just come out. Come out.
And y'all just come out and meet us.
Yeah, come out and meet us. Why not? We some lovable women, you know what I'm saying? We got this, you know. So we would love to definitely have you guys in the building, you know, to mix and mingle with us and stuff. So we definitely happy about that. So be sure to tune in tomorrow. We'll be live from the I.Am.She Podcast page doing some interviews tomorrow, and we'll be live broadcasting from the show Saturday, October the 30th at the Community Bazaar. So feel free to reach out to Miss Rita, who will be the event coordinator who's throwing the event. So you can definitely reach out to her if you're a vendor and would like to sell some items there. So anything else, KD? Oh, we'll be sure to put up some domestic violence lines as well, guys, so that, you know, you can share this with a friend. Share this. This particular one. Share it on your page. Yeah, that's right. Share it on your page. You know, definitely. Angie said, I'm coming.
Yeah, she'll be up here, girl.
Oh, she is. Oh, yeah. I can't wait to see you. So we'll definitely have that up, guys. So, you know, share this live. Please share this video. You can always play it back. It's on YouTube, so it'll be forever in the air. So share this with someone. You know, this was definitely a powerful episode, and I'm just happy and thankful for Dawania sharing her story, and for you too, KD, because I know sometimes it's hard for you to talk about it. Very hard. So it's definitely, I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you shared, you know. I'm happy that you got that out. That felt good. I was like, yeah, look at her doing her thing. Yeah.
Anyways, guys, thank you for coming out. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook, on our Instagram at I.Am.She Podcast. And, our Gmail at PodcastIAmShe@gmail.com. If you have any anything that you would like us to advertise, if you have any businesses, like Crystal said, if you got a group, you know, that you want us to advertise. We're still looking for sponsors for our show. It's so many of you guys watching. Become a sponsor.
Yeah, I like that. It's so many of y'all watching. Come on, reach out to somebody. Reach out, you know.
Some entrepreneurs on here. Come on now.
I know it's a few entrepreneurs on here, so just reach out, guys. You know, we would definitely love the support, and we would definitely love to support you.
Absolutely.
You know, like she said, one candle lighting another one don't take away, you know, anything. Doesn't take away from me.
I like that.
So, I love that. I gotta get the exact thing that she said, because I love that saying. So be sure to watch us on YouTube, Facebook Live, on Instagram Live every Saturday from 11 to 1. We may go over a little bit, but it's okay. We're thankful, guys, for watching. We will see you guys next week, where we'll be hosting live from the Community Bazaar. You guys have a great Saturday. See you guys tomorrow as well. We'll be broadcasting from the RT thing tomorrow. So can't wait to see you guys. Thanks.